I have about 45 minutes, so I'm not going to waste any time right now because we have quite a bit of information and practices that we need to know from today's session. So today's session essentially is about self-worth. So that's what I'm going to talk about. So there are a few other things which I have added along with the self-worth, primarily to help us improve ourselves from our daily life that we are living. First and foremost thing we need to understand here from the word self-worth is that it is different from self-importance. Okay, so I'm going to explain to you what it means by to have self-worth and what it means to have self-importance. When we are talking about self-worth, it literally means that being worthy of yourself, knowing your value, that is called self-worth. So what am I here for? Okay, and that is self-worth. So self-importance is to give importance to your body, which means that I am important. So I have a certain credentials. I'm a doctor, I am an engineer, I am a lawyer, I am a pharmacist, or I'm a businessman. So all these are important portfolios, but the value of these portfolios can be realized only when you apply it. Okay, if you just call yourself a doctor, but you're not exactly serving patients, you're using that portfolio to earn money, to increase your net worth in terms of your asset value, then there is no self-worth in that. So then you're talking about importance. Okay, so self-worth essentially is to understand what is your real value. Now let me give you some examples. So we can speak a lot, but without examples, all of this will be very hollow. So, excuse me. So when we're talking about self-worth here, now I started this session at 11:30. So it is important to start this session at 11:30. That is because when I start at 11:30, there are so many people who are investing their time in this session. Okay, the value that I give to your time demonstrate how much I value myself. Okay, the value that I give to your time and your commitment, your interest that you have put in to invest your time in this session, if I'm able to realize that, recognize that, and if I am then logging it at 11:30, this is a direct reflection of self-worth. So if I value myself, then I will know how to value you. But these days what's happening is we get into this self-importance believing that it is self-worth, which means that when someone is delaying at home, if I'm choosing to get angry, if I'm choosing to get upset, then I am demonstrating my self-importance. I'm not demonstrating my self-worth. Okay, let us say that you want to come on live at 11:30, but your child says that I have just one more step in this mobile game to play, and dad, just give me 1 minute. And you get angry. So if you get angry, then you're demonstrating your self-importance. But if you have self-worth, what you will do is you will make sure that 15 minutes earlier or half an hour earlier, that mobile is already in your hand, so that you know that you have to log in at 11:30. The child does not know the value of your time commitment. Alright, this is a simple example of self-worth. So how do we develop this self-worth? Now there are so many different aspects to this self-worth. So one of the few things that we can do to enhance your self-worth, the first thing is to value your body. Okay, value your body. Your body does not have a problem falling sick. The body does not have a problem deteriorating. The body does not have a problem dying. The body does not have a problem disintegrating. Okay, I need this body so that I can learn through this body. Without this body, I can't learn. Alright, it's just a tool, right? This body is just a tool. I'm living in it. Now I need this body. The body does not need me. I am keeping this body alive. The body by itself has no interest to stay alive. So the amount of value that I'm going to give to his body demonstrates self-worth. So it begins with, what time do I wake up? Ideally, you need to wake up before sunrise. Are you waking up before sunrise? If you aren't waking up before sunrise, then there's no point in calling your self-worth. It does not exist. Secondly, do you meditate every day? You need to go back within, connecting, All right. So today morning I was thinking, I'm receiving so many advertisements, lockdown, 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 lockdown. When are you going to unlock? So while the lockdown is there in the city, when are you going to unlock yourself? All of us are locked up. So self-worth essentially means to unlock yourself every day. And for this, one of these practices is meditation. Second, whichever faith that you belong to, do you practice your faith? Whether you are a Hindu or whether you are a Christian or a Muslim, whoever you are, do you practice your faith? Are you becoming a better Hindu? Are you becoming a better Muslim? Are you becoming a better Christian? That is self-worth. Fourth, are you sharing love? Self-worth is to share love with all of creation. Okay, what does it mean? That people are okay the way they are. The other day, one lady asked me, she came online and she was consulting online, and she asked me, my father is not spiritual. He doesn't meditate. How can I change him? Now this, I call it as spiritual ego. Why do we want to change others? A few years ago, we were also in that slumber. We were also in that sleep. So you never bothered how your dad was, or how your mother was, how your brother was. But now that you have woken up, you suddenly want to change the world. This is not self-worth. This is self-importance. This is spiritual ego. If you really value yourself, then set the best example of you. Be the best version of you. That is self-worth. So the moment you have anger towards others practicing or not practicing, the moment you have any kind of feeling of being unwell, feeling of being disturbed, that others are not practicing, the moment you are able to identify something is not right, please understand that you have displaced yourself from the worth part of you. You displaced yourself from being love. You displaced yourself from being God. Self-worth is being God. What does this mean? Now, you are looking at the screen, you're looking at me. I have a certain attitude, okay? My attitude is demonstrated by what I wear as my attire and all my paraphernalia. I'm wearing vibhuti, okay? I'm wearing glasses, and then I'm a doctor, blah, blah, blah. All this is called as an attitude. An attitude is required to survive on this planet. Okay? Recently I got a doctorate. Now, the doctorate serves me to give, because when you are a doctorate, people listen. When you're a doctor, people listen. So, on one side I have the importance, but I know the value of this doctorate when I'm applying it in helping humanity. Helping humanity do what? Is to tell them how to be. How to be. Now, why am I telling that? It's because I'm being asked. Alright? So when you are in self-importance, you give free advice. But when you are operating from self-worth, you wait patiently until someone asks. Until then, what do? You are busy setting an example of being the best version of you. And that's how you attract people. And that's how people ask, how are you able to be so calm in this time? How is it that you're not perturbed? So I said, do you want to really know? I can teach you how to be like that. Demonstrate, demonstrate, demonstrate. Don't talk. We can do a lot of talking and prove nothing. So instead, it is important to demonstrate. And so, you can start demonstrating today. So what is it that you're going to demonstrate? How intensely are you going to meditate? If you can meditate for a little time intensely, you can meditate intensely all the time. If you can do your prayers with a little concentration or much concentration for a little time, then in due course, you will learn how to pray with much concentration. If you are peaceful for a little time, having a lot of peace for a little time, in due course, you will learn how to be really peaceful for a lot of time. If you're having intense love for a little time, you will know in due course how to have a lot of love all the time. So this requires what we call as CIA, Constant Integrated Awareness, which means that practice all the time. And situations at home is your test, is your testing ground. There's no better place than home. There are no better people than your parents, your in-laws, your siblings, your children, your grandchildren. No better atmosphere than that. These are the people who will not care about you, who will not pay attention to you. And that's your testing ground. What fun, what joy is it to give a lecture among awakened people? There's no use because they're all awakened. They will clap anyhow because they say that, hey, here's one of us. But when you simplify, because you have the practice, you have the experience, and when you simplify and you wait patiently and letting them know how to be patient, letting them know how not to be disturbed, letting them know how to be loving and caring and giving. And that way, you will slowly transform them. You know, when you might have gone to the forest, you might have gone on treks, and you would have realized how there are drops of water falling on a rock, and there is a small hole in the rock. That hole happened after hundreds of years of that water dropping on that single place. Patience. And that water did not care when is that rock going to develop that hole. The rock was in no hurry to develop that hole. Everything happened patiently, and when the time was ripe, it all happened. So now, there are a few practices that I'm going to take you through. Few things. Now, first and foremost thing is to develop your self-worth. If you develop your self-worth, there are a few things that you must do. One is always have your attire neatly pressed. It's very important. It's because this demonstrates your self-worth. Always shower before you have your breakfast because your body needs quality hunger to digest food. It demonstrates self-worth. Make sure that you are very conscious about what you listen to. Okay? It's very important. Bhadram karne bhishrunuyama devaha, which means that whenever you are listening, Bhadram karne, always be very careful about what you're listening to because that is self-worth. If you're listening to something that is constantly talking about illness, that is constantly talking about being of death, of devastation, you cannot be on self-worth. And next, always be aware of what is it that you are looking at. Bhadram pashye makshabhirya jatra. Whenever you're looking at, whatever you're looking at, be sure that it is going to enhance your self-worth. There is such a thing called as influence. Everything that we see, everything that we listen, and all our senses are constantly feeding the mind. All of them are constantly influencing the mind. So what do you want in the mind? And that's what you need to feed. So you need to listen carefully and cautiously. You need to see carefully and cautiously. Don't observe things that do not matter. Don't observe things that bring your self-worth down. The third thing is, what can I do? Never discuss problems. Always focus on solutions. What can I do in this situation? To give you an example, when the Fukushima earthquake happened, okay, we had the tsunami and there was devastation in Japan, and the tsunami devastated so much. What is it that you could do? Now, if you go back to our Puranas, so where I'm going to take you through this Purana, I'm not sure how many of you know this story. So where the Draupadi had Akshaya Patra, and Akshaya Patra means that it would give how much ever food you wanted, it would give. And then once you have emptied it and washed it, the Akshaya Patra can be used only the next day. Akshaya means unlimited. So on a particular day, Draupadi just cleaned the vessel and then she put it away for sun drying. And Krishna was there with them. Then Durvasa Muni came. Now he wanted to test these people. And he said, I'm coming with 100 disciples and we want food. Okay? And then now Draupadi has just washed the vessel and she was really nervous. She didn't know what to do. So she went to Krishna and she said, Krishna, what do I do? Suddenly these 100 people with Durvasa Muni are coming. They're coming and they want to partake lunch with us, and I've just washed the vessel. How do I now do this? Now I have no way to prepare this food. Krishna says, bring the vessel. So Draupadi brings the vessel to Krishna, and then he sees a small tulsi leaf stuck at the bottom, on the rim, under the rim. So he picks the tulsi leaf, and he has this intention. May all people feel what I am feeling now, and may they all realize the truth that they are God, have always been God, and so be it. And he eats the tulsi leaf, and immediately he feels a sense of satisfaction in his stomach. The moment he feels the satisfaction, immediately Durvasa Muni and all the 100 disciples who are having bath, suddenly their bellies filled up. And then Krishna had his fun. So he sent Bhima to the river, and he calls them, and now Durvasa Muni wants to run away because now he does not want to have lunch. His stomach is full. He wants to run away. But they said, no, you have to come. You are our guest. Food is ready. They want to run away. The point I'm trying to make here is that our mind is so powerful. It is so powerful. It's a very powerful tool. If you listen to it, it is like a chainsaw with no stop button. It does not know what to cut and what not to cut. It will cut everything that comes in its path. But then if you use it, it is one of the most powerful tools. So always use the mind appropriately. That demonstrates self-worth. So when you use your mind appropriately, how do you do this? Every time that you see some disaster, immediately pray. Get into a state of love. I spoke about self-love a few days ago. Get into that state of love by sending those flowers. And once you've done that, then you say, may all people who are facing disaster, devastation, hunger, may they all experience and feel what I am feeling right now. And may they all realize the truth that they are God, have always been God, and so be it. When you do this, immediately you will see that this energy will just permeate into the atmosphere and serve all those people who are facing this devastation. Because you are now being God. You are now using the mind to be God. That is being God. And self-worth is in demonstrating how good are you being God. Whether you are happy, whether you are in love, whether you are joyous, or whether you are angry, whether you are sad, whether you are frustrated, irritated, whether you are unhappy, depressed, anxious, at all times you're sending out vibrations. You're always doing that. You are setting the best example of you at every moment. Someone out there is believing that I need to be like you. So who do you want to be like? That is self-worth. Now, it is not so easy to have this self-worth all of the time because we have conditioned ourselves to so much of unhappiness. We have conditioned ourselves to so much of anger, so much of resentment, wanting other people to change, wanting other people to behave in a particular way. So how do we bring about this change? So here, I'm going to introduce one practice which is called as Mahopeksha. Mahopeksha means the great forgiveness. Now, forgiveness restores self-worth. Now, let me clarify. All of us have heard the word forgiveness. We've all heard the term forgiveness, but not many of us know what it means to really forgive. Do you know that forgiveness has got nothing to do with the other person? There is no one to forgive apart from yourself and the judgments that you have created in your mind. All right? So let me explain this to you. Let us say that I come to you and we have an argument and I slap you. All right? And then there's another person who is a healer. You go to that person and you say that I feel so awful that I've slapped this person. I want to forgive him. Is it possible? It's absolutely not possible to forgive anyone because at every single moment, every person, no matter who, believes what he or she is doing is right, is correct. It's only after the act, when that anger has passed, when that sorrow has passed, when the grief has passed, when the resentment has passed, when the anxiety has passed, is when you realize that what you did shouldn't have been done. But while you're doing it, you always believe that what you did was right. And that's why you need this practice of Mahopeksha to release that judgment that you carried in the first place. So when you release this judgment, you no longer are able to relate to that person with that emotion. So Mahopeksha is a practice to separate emotion from experience. We separate the two. When you separate emotion from experience, you cannot feel that pain anymore. People with self-worth do not invest their energies in pain. They do not invest their energies in anger. They do not invest their energies in fear. They invest their energies in love. They invest their time, energy, effort in joy, in happiness, in getting people to uplift. So if you want to uplift yourself, it's very simple. You just need to be here, and all those people here will simply come up here by your sheer presence. Just by your presence, they will all come up. All right? So let me just take you through a very small example. Okay? I'm going to take you through a very small example of how, even remotely, you can simply switch off other people's mind. This is what I want to do now. So I ask you to all bring about a thought of your house, or of your automobile, of your children, of your parents. Just bringing those thoughts, and you will see all these people will come alive in your mind. And now I'm just going to raise my vibrations, and you just see what happens to the thought. Did the thought vanish, or is it still there? Did that do anything to your thoughts? Did that do anything to the mind? If it didn't, don't bother. Your sheer presence should transform the environment. Your sheer presence should transform wherever you are, should transform the people. No talking. You don't have to do any talking. You just have to live the vibration. When you live the vibration, the shift simply happens. Can we do this again? Of course we can. So I just want you to bring in a thought, and I'm going to just raise the vibrations. Did that do anything? So Mahopeksha primarily is a practice to release everything that holds back your vibration. It's like throwing away the sandbags from the gas balloon so that you can rise. The sandbags are the emotions that you carry. So there is a practice to Mahopeksha. So I want to take you through this practice now. So first and foremost thing that I want you to do is to imagine, or to recollect a memory from your most recent past. Recollect a memory that has caused you some kind of hurt. Recollect from your memory, from your recent memory, an experience that caused you hurt. It might have caused you anger. It might have caused you to feel unhappy, sad, fear, anything. Now I want you to project this thought on an imaginary screen. This could be, you imagine yourself watching this experience on a television screen, or watching this experience on a projection screen or a movie screen. As I am taking you through this experience, there's something that I want to tell you here. Mahopeksha is the practice between you and your experience. It has got nothing to do with the other person. So please do not try to forgive the other person. It's got nothing to do with the other person. It's just got to do with between you and your experience. So project this memory on a screen, and now you have to talk to this experience, okay? You have to talk to the experience, but not to the person. If you talk to the person, it's going to make things worse for you. Because you have judged the person, you cannot forgive the person. You're just going to release the emotion from the experience. You're going to take back the emotion from the experience. So now you tell this experience, I choose to release you from all directions of time and from all planes of existence now. I forgive you unconditionally. I send you unconditional love. I send love to all thoughts, feelings, emotions, beliefs, perceptions, choices, judgments, and expectations. I cut the cords that connect them to the mind. I set them free. And now that you've been holding on to this experience for so long, you work with yourself. Tell yourself, I forgive myself unconditionally. I love and accept myself unconditionally. I make peace with my past. My past is dead. I let go. When you are ready, open your eyes. And to know truly whether you have released this experience from your memory or not, I ask you to revisit the experience and try to bring it back to life. If it happens, if it comes back to life with even 1% emotion, then we need to do the practice again. Try to recall the same experience. Are you able to recollect the experience with the emotion? Or is the experience just blank with no emotion? Right. So the ideal thing that has to happen is that there must be zero pain, zero suffering in the experience. So when you do this practice of Mahopeksha, what really happens is that you separate the emotion from the experience, and after that the experience just exists. You will not be able to relate there. If you have to relate to me, for example, okay, blank to emotions, very good. Emotionless, very good. If you have to connect to me, if you have to look at me and relate to me, the only way to relate to me would be through an experience. There's no way you can relate to me. The moment someone introduces the two of us, immediately we have a perception. And our perception is filled with the attitude. So your perception of me is filled with the attitude that I demonstrate. So you take me at face value. This is who Dr. Mahesh is. But the moment I shift, for example, I'm talking about self-love, and then I talk about self-worth, I talk about forgiveness. On some day when we meet face to face and suddenly I demonstrate anger, immediately your perception of me will shake, it will rattle, and you cannot accept. You say, what is this? I mean, like, this man talks about self-love, self-worth, forgiveness, and he's getting angry. You won't be able to take my new perception, and you will start feeling unsettled. And then you will have to do Mahopeksha to remove all those negative judgments that you have about me, so that you can get back to that peace, so that you no longer have a perception of me. This is very important. Look at all the animals on this planet. All the animals, all the birds, all of creation on this planet just exist without a perception. They don't have a perception of one another. We humans are constantly perceiving one another, judging one another, and creating problems for ourselves and for others. And that is why it is so important to follow this practice of Mahopeksha. When I started practicing Mahopeksha, and the reason I did it was when I wanted to live with self-worth, I found that I was getting angry with my mother. I was getting angry with my father, with my brothers. I was getting angry with situations, but that's no way to demonstrate self-worth. That's no way to live in self-worth. So I sat in my meditation and this practice was given to me. And then I did this practice for guess how much time? I did this practice daily, all the time, for a period of 6 years. It took me 6 years to completely flush out all the emotions that I was carrying. It's only when I had completely flushed out all the emotions, that's when I realized that it is not about people. It's about me. It's not about how they behave. It's about how I perceive them. It's about how I judge them. So that's what matters. So what matters is, where am I in all of this? What am I feeling like? How am I choosing to be? And that's what speaks about my self-worth. Do you have any questions? I can go on and on. But the point is, here we all are here to learn, not to listen and forget. Do you have any questions? So there are a few practices wherein you can build your self-worth. The process, once again, we are talking about the Mahopeksha process. Is that what you want? So that we can note it down. What I would suggest is, if you can write to me, if you can just write a mail to me at mahesh@nadichikitsa.com, I will send you the process. And you also please let me know whether you want the process in English or whether you want the process in Hindi. I will send that process to you. That would be better. Okay, instead of taking you through the process, because what I want to do is to have you practice and not just note it down, because my constant experience with people is that when they note it down, then they forget where they have noted it down. It's gone. So the best thing for you to do is to write to me, and I'll send you the practice, and then you practice and give me a feedback, and then you can come for any kind of consultations that you want in terms of doing this practice correctly. I'd be very glad to help you. Okay, so yes, I will give the practice. I give my email to Sahil, and he will share it with you, so that those who are wanting to transform your life, you can write down. And yes, I follow the principle of no free advice. I'm not going to send out the practice again. So those who did practice and did feel the emotions just drain away, just retrieve that emotions, and the experience just went dry, good for you. So you are the guys who need to take up this practice. First, practice, and people will notice the change. Okay, so when I was practicing Mahopeksha, and every time I used to meditate, and suddenly on one particular day, if I got angry, my mother would say, "Why are you getting angry? You are the person who meditates. You should not be getting angry." But then that's the bitter pill that you have to swallow. It's not wrong to fall, but it's important to rise. Okay, when we don't practice, or we lose that awareness, we fall. Don't feel bad falling, but always remember that you can rise again. So every time, for a number of years, my brother, my mother would always point out, There you are, you lost your anger again. They said, oh, you're so damn right. And then finally, after 6 years, one day my mother commented, you are there, we are here. You know, it's not as if I've risen. No, that's not true. What I'm talking about is their perception. People's perception change when you change. Now, if you want to know what's your self-worth, you just have to reflect. We are living in a reflective universe. I'm sure somebody must have spoken about this. What it means by reflective universe is that whatever state of being you are operating in, that is reflected in your conversations with another person, or its conversations with the society, with people. Let me give you an example where I lost my self-worth and regained it. It was a time when my family and we were all going on a picnic. And while we were going on a picnic, something just started off an altercation, and I lost my cool, I lost my temper, and I was angry. And then we decided we are going to one of the fast food joints to pick up masala dosa as our breakfast. We were not cooking at home that day because we were going out on a picnic. So everyone agreed, and then we started off. Now, hilariously, this is what happened. When we reached the fast food joint, I'm telling you, I'm not exaggerating, gas stove went bust, which means that gas got over in a fast food joint. Have you ever experienced this? So, and everybody is waiting with their coupons, and I'm also waiting with my coupon. While I was waiting, I suddenly realized that I'm carrying anger. I'm investing my energy in anger. And I just stood there. The moment I realized it, I stood there, took a breath. I let go of my anger. The moment I let go of my anger, the waiter looked straight into my eyes and he asked me, what's your order? That was too good. I mean, it was a clear reflection of the universe to say where you were and where you are. And despite all the people waiting there, I was not the first person to get to buy the coupon. I was one of them. And then despite all of them waiting, the first person to get the masala dosa was me. That's because I chose to immediately let go of my anger, and the universe rewards you for it. It rewards you for getting back to love. So every time you want to know how worthy you are living, and then you can just relate by seeing how people speak with you, how people relate with you, how are the people speaking with you, what kind of words they use. And do they talk about problems? Do they talk about solutions? Do they talk about help needed? Many of you, I believe, could be probably healers or counselors, right? So it's very important for you to know that people who talk about their problems never want to change. They never want to change. So don't listen to people's problems. It will deplete your self-worth. Okay? Give them a piece of your mind, ask them to practice, and then call. Don't invest your time in people who want to talk about their problems and do not want to live in solutions. That will keep your self-worth high. When you're in self-worth, when you're living in self-worth, you're living in self-love, and when you're practicing Mahopeksha, you will see that your ability to live a beautiful life in the most challenging times becomes that much easier. Look at this, lockdown is happening, and look at me using this time to communicate about self-worth and self-love with all of you, awakened souls. It's so beautiful, isn't it? This is life. At every moment, you have a choice to be how you choose. Life itself is like a mirror. What you choose is what you get. And self-worth is just a meter to know how you're living your life. So I was given 45 minutes. Now I have taken 40 minutes. I have got another 5 minutes. And Sahil, if you're there, do you want to come in? And do you want to take some questions or want to take some comments? Does anyone have any questions? All right. There's something here. Okay. So I will, so you can write to me so that I can share the forgiveness process with you, the Mahopiksha process. Yeah. Okay. Okay, Sahil is just logging in. He'll be here with us in a few seconds. There you are, Sahil. Yes.
Hello. Hi. Wow.
Hey, Sahil.
Very good morning to you and everybody who's there who tuned in for the session. And Maheshji, it was a brilliant session. I am sure everybody received it. We were consistently writing everybody like, guys, tune in because it's amazing. I mean, the wisdom that is coming is very important for all of us. And it's always important that we receive guidance from experienced masters like you so that we youngsters have some anchor and know where we stand and where we need to improve from. So it's a great reflection and it's a great learning from you. And I feel it's so important that we learn from you more on a regular basis so that all these young people that we have gathered up together, the community that we have created of awakened youths, we get to fine-tune ourselves more and more through these beautiful tools that you have to share, starting from self-love and self-worth, and also the forgiveness. I mean, I had recently made a video on YouTube on the scam of forgiveness, because the moment we forgive someone else, we are accepting the judgment.
Correct.
Which is wrong, which you should, I mean, it is your judgment which is making you forgive them. Otherwise, they are not wrong. They are nobody for you to blame and forgive. Who are you to forgive them? So
absolutely.
Exactly. So I guess the perfect way but we do need to resolve it, and you can resolve it by forgiving the experience and accepting the experience and not the person. The person is out of it. And, you just make peace with your emotion that is attached to that experience. It is you who needs to separate yourself. So I guess a wonderful exercise that you've given us, and I'm sure everybody will practice, and I would encourage everyone who was here to please practice it. This master meditated on that for 6 years to come and go and cross all those boundaries. So at least we should do it ourselves and see the power of it. So I would like to say, after practicing this for 6 years and Mahopiksha for so long, when you detach, so we might get into a phase where we are very detached with that person. We might get into this, so we might not feel a connection with the person.
No, on the contrary. On the contrary, what happens is that you are unconditional with the person, which means that you are in love. You are no longer having resentment, anger, sorrow, grief, hatred. You don't have any of those emotions. You are just love. So when that person comes to you and stands in front of you, you don't have a remembrance of what the person did. But one thing does happen is that your thoughts, your experiences do remain, so that you can still be cautious. You may, for example, let's take a business deal and someone cheated you, and then you felt cheated. But it's that you are not cautious, which is why you got into that business deal and executed in the first place. So now you need to go through the process of forgiveness. So you do the process of forgiveness and you completely overcome all the judgments that you had. But the next time the person comes to you, maybe 5 years later, let us say, 5 years later, you will not have any of those emotions in you, but you'll be cautious, and you will, with love, tell him that, I'm glad you still remember me, but I'm not willing to do business with you. And he will say it without any emotion.
Yes.
That's what will happen.
Okay. Right. I guess I can understand now much better. Thank you so much for that clarity, because yes, I mean the negative emotions go, and then you go to, then there's the love which is there, which is always radiating out of you, that remains.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Such an experience happened with me, where there was a client who gave me 50,000 rupees for a service that I had to render, and I left it in the office. I had a partnership many years ago, yeah. And I left it in the office. And the next morning when I came, and the safe locker was empty, so I asked my partner what happened to the money, and he didn't answer, but he just kept nodding his head. He didn't answer, but I knew something had happened, but I didn't know what. It's only the realization dawned on me when a new vehicle of his landed. So I realized that he had taken away the 50,000 and invested in a vehicle. It was not his money. So yeah, it was unethical of him to do that. So what I did was to completely let go of all the animosity, the anger, the hatred, and the and the feeling of being cheated, being let down, all of it had accumulated. I let go of all that. Now, even today, after so many decades, when we meet, we shake hands, we joke, we laugh, but I'm never going to do business with him again. And it is with love that I've taken this decision.
Right, right. Beautiful, beautiful. I guess that's a perfect understanding of the situation. And thank you so much. I guess it was a very, very important session of self-worth. And I guess everybody now has understood the right way to forgiveness, right way to taking away negative emotions from any experience in their lifetime, any experience that they've experienced in your life. Please practice this thing that Swamiji has given us. And you can always see the feed again. And because this is going to be there for 24 hours, and I'm going to take the email address from him and I'm going to put it in the story so that people can approach him directly and also take guidance from the master directly.
Yeah, I will share with you. I'll also share with you how this practice has to be done exactly, because I've shared the practice with you, but there is a stepwise thing to do, which means that you need to start.
So that everybody who tuned in today can get it directly. They don't have to, so that they have more direct access. We put in the stories, the whole instructions properly. We'll make posts of it so that people get this very well.
Yeah.
And
yes.
Yep. So thank you so much. It was a great session. We'll have you again, sir.
Thank you, Sahil. Thank you for giving this platform. It was so nice being able to share with all these awakened souls. The youth whom you say are awakened, the youth these days have come with very high vibrations. And a lot of conflicts happen between them and their parents only because their vibrations apart. And this is all the more reason why you need to be grounded and you need all these practices.
Yes.
Yeah,
and that's why I guess it's really important, and that's the only reason. Because since we come with a very unique frequency, we created a platform for youngsters, by the youngsters, and then we realized that we needed guidance from experienced masters like you, so that we can fine-tune ourselves. So
yes,
really very nice. Everybody loving it. Everybody is having a lot of gratitude, and thank you so much, Maheshji. We'll have you again for sure for the next session.
Thank you so much, Sahil. Thank you.
Thank you.
And all of you, stay blessed.